let's just get into today's DIYs.
For this Kirkland stoop, I'm going to recreate this clock. I love clocks and I have them all over. So I just found this new wheel type wreath form at Dollar Tree, as well as a clock kit from Walmart. This little box here from Dollar Tree, you can use anything that's a circle, it's just what I had in my stash. Some foam core board, and then some of the popsicle sticks. And so first I'm going to glue on these popsicle sticks. And so I'm going to use a little bit of E6000 and then a little bit of hot glue. And you definitely want to use that E6000 for a good hold. So now, is this not the coolest wreath form, like these wagon wheels? I am going to do some other projects with them that I'm really excited about. But when I saw it, I was like, oh, please let there be 12 spokes. And there was, so it's perfect to make clocks with. All right, so I am going to, so what happened here is I lost the footage of me gluing on the foam core board. So I basically just glued it on the same way as I did the tongue depressors, the popsicle sticks, whatever you want to call them. And then I just used some electrical tape to give it that extra security. And then I am going to paint the whole thing with Rust-Oleum's chalk paint in linen. Okay, so again, I lost some footage here and I'm not sure what happened. So I have, the way that I cut the circle out is I just, I traced this wagon wheel onto some foam core board, and then I just measured 1 inch both ways, and then just kind of free-handed the circle from there so that it would cover the sign. And then I just cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And then, and so if I can find that footage, I'll put it in at the end. But again, super easy just to cut the circle out yourself. Okay, and so I am also going to paint this lid cover here for the middle of my clock. And then I just punched a hole here in the middle. I just used like some scissors and just punched it through, and big enough for my clock to fit through. Now, here's the thing. This is where you should put the clock in after you paint it and before you glue it down. And I glued this down first. I think I was thinking that the center of the wreath frame was open, and it's not. So the problem here with using that clock is that if you had to change the battery, you would have to pop this off and re-glue it, which really wouldn't be that big of a deal because it glued on really easily. So now I'm going to take some of the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm just going to take my little dry brush here and just swipe it on. You'll see it's darker in some sections than others. If you get too much down, all you have to do is take the white paint and go back over it. So I'm just trying to give it that worn farmhouse look like the picture had. And so yeah, I'm just going to do this all the way around. What's so fun about using the foam core board is it's so lightweight, so it can hang on the wall so easily, but also it's really easy to make it look like wood, and I really love working with it. Okay, so here is where I glue the circle on, and again, I'm just using some E6000 as well as hot glue. But again, right there you want to put that clock in. Okay, so now I am going to work on my numbers. So what I did was I cut a rectangle out with just on some cardboard. It's just like little cardboard that comes like with a paper pack. And then at the bottom, I just, if you can see, I just kind of did an angle. And then I just traced that onto the other 11 so that they would all be the same shape. And then using my Cricut, I use some white vinyl. You guys, my words are just not coming today. I used some of the white vinyl and put the numbers on. So the way the clock looks in the Kirkland one is that it says 3, 6, 9, and 12 in regular numbers, and then the other numbers are Roman numerals. And I really like that switching. I love mixing fonts and patterns, and so I really liked that this clock had the different kinds of numbers. And then as you can see, I'm just taking the Rust-Oleum linen white paint and just going around the edges of this number piece, and it's just going to give it that worn rustic look as well. And once I have all those done, now I can glue them down onto my clock. And so I measured 1 inch down and then glued all these, so that way I'll know that they are all in the same position. And let me grab those fonts for you. I will link them down in the description which font I used. It is 2 different fonts. And then again, I don't need to use E6000 on this part because it's just cardboard going onto the popsicle sticks, and so hot glue will work just fine. And what you'll see there is how I'm doing it. Instead of marking it with like a pencil because I don't want the pencil marks, I just hold the ruler in place and then I know exactly where to lay the glue. So I will just do that all the way around. And here's the part where I discovered I had forgotten to put the clock base in there. Now, this is what happened. I got this clock base at Walmart. It's $4, but the hands would not stay. Like, I don't know what happened. I used the clock kits before, so I know what I'm doing, but no matter what, those hands would not stay. And I got frustrated, and I was like, you know what, forget it. This is going to be a faux clock because really, I didn't need an actual clock. So if you're struggling or you don't want to use a real clock, you can just make a faux clock. So I just used that same cardboard, and I just hand drew out some hour and minute hands, and then I just glue them down. Now, to make it look like the hands would move, actually they do move if I move them myself, I put a little eyelet or grommet, is what you call it, in the center. And so what you do is you poke a hole, not, with a hole punch, and then you take the crocodile, or there's other tools, but the crocodile is definitely the easiest, and you just squeeze it and it closes that grommet. And this tool is amazing. You'll use it for so many things. It hole punches like tin, like butter. It's so good. So I'll link that down below as well. So I'll just go ahead and I will glue these hands on, and that's it. The clock's done. I actually kind of like that it's a faux clock because I have so many clocks and I didn't really need another one ticking. You know what I mean? But I really love how this turns out. I think it looks like wood. I think it looks really close to the dupe, and I hope you enjoy it. Also, I want to mention that I did make another clock like this last summer, and it does work. And so I will link that in the cards above so that if you'd like to go check that one out, you can see how a working one works. This project, I'm going to use 2 of these Dollar Tree wooden crates, some of the craft sticks, and this little miter shears, which if you saw my last video, I was like, I'm definitely buying these. They will make life easier, and they totally did. So I will link those down below. And then I'm going to use Waverly's antique wax as well as ivory chalk paint and some drawer pulls. You can use wood buttons, any kind of thing you can use, but these are actual drawer pulls that I didn't need. And then one of these garden fences, also from Dollar Tree. So first I'm just going to cut off all these little extra pieces, and I'm using my tin snips, and I just saw another creator actually use the miter shears to cut it, so that will work too, or scissors. These just seem to cut a little easier with less effort. Anyhow, I'm going to cut it in half, so I will get 2 pieces out of this, although the second piece kind of gets it's not quite as even. So I will cut this in half, and then I will use this piece right here. All right, so then I am just going to take my miter shears and I'm going to cut down the craft sticks. And what I'm going to do is I want to make a frame around this box. So I'm going to cut, and it takes 2 for the top, 2 for the bottom, and then a half for each side. So I'm just going to kind of play around here with the size. You can be exact and measure it. I just kind of did it based on what I saw. Just thought it was easier, and I kind of wanted it to have a rustic look. And so then I just kind of sand the edges off where I cut. Now, this is a tip that one of you guys told me about, and I am so thankful, and I wish I remembered who told me. I would give you a shout out. But you put little pieces down on a piece of tape when you're painting. And it makes it so much easier, so much faster, less messy. So now I'm going to take the Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to paint all of the craft sticks, and I'm going to paint all of the sides of these crates except for the front. That's the only thing I'm not going to paint, and the bottom. And once that's complete, then I will paint the fronts with the Waverly Ivory chalk paint. And on here it doesn't look like a big difference, but it does make a difference. It gives it a nice pop when I put the trim around it. I'm going to take that same ivory paint and just kind of distress this piece here. I end up deciding later on just to paint it fully ivory, but I thought this might look like metal, and then I did not care for it. So I kind of just, the projects evolve as we go along. Now I'm measuring for the center of my crate, and this is going to be where my drawer knob goes. And once I find that center, I'm going to find my drill bit that I think matches the hole size the best, and then I will drill a hole. After I drill the hole, I take that box, flip it over to the other box, and mark the hole. The other box just saves me a little time in measuring, because then it'll be in the same spot. I love having just a little drill on hand. It makes life so easy, and sometimes we're intimidated by those, but they're really easy to use. Now, because my wood isn't that thick, there is actually space between where I wound the drawer pull around with the screw, so I just put some hot glue in that space so it wouldn't continue to turn. And as you see here, I am adding on the trim pieces that I made to give it kind of a trim. And so I will do that for both of the boxes. And as you see here, I decided I didn't like that gray, so I covered it in white. And now I'm taking that antique wax paint and I'm just lightly touching it around to give it that rustic look. And then when I'm done with this paint, I will go ahead and glue it, and this is the finish of this project. I wanted to come up with the little pieces that could go inside this project. So I found this little beaded thing at Dollar General. The only thing they had left was an S, which doesn't really pertain to me, so I knew I'd make it over at some point. I picked up these stickers from Dollar Tree, and this clock matched perfect, like the exact size. So that was a super easy makeover. And then I also got this frame from Dollar Tree, and I cut out a piece of scrapbook paper to go inside of it. And I'm just going to kind of decorate that and give it like a vintagey, rustic look. So grab a tag, this little wood key from Dollar Tree, and then this sheet of rub-ons. These are so great. I love rub-ons. And then I decide that I actually like the look of the little, oh, I don't know what you would call that, book plate at the top instead of the bottom, so I switched it. So now I'm just kind of going through the rub-ons here, and I will pick one out. I think rub-ons are really great because they look like they've been inked on, like they're part of whatever you're putting them on. And they don't look like a sticker, you know, where you can tell it's raised. So I go ahead and I rub this on, and then I will use some twine and add the key. It needed one more thing, so I went through my wood letters and I grabbed a K for my last name and I added that. I definitely think that was the finishing touch. Just gave it that good look. And so I can set that now inside of my little drawer. I don't know what you would call this, but I just think it's the cutest thing to add to your home decor. This next project, I got out the power tools. So I got this, and I think it's a bed leg, no, a table leg, excuse me, that's a table leg. I got it for free off Facebook Marketplace. Seriously, Facebook Marketplace, I love it. Also, check your Facebook groups because you probably have like a buy nothing group, like a free group, which is great too. So I'm just using my miter saw to cut this down into two pieces, and this is going to be for the tier tray that I'm going to make. This isn't going to be your typical tier tray. It's going to be something a little different. Now, you're going to start seeing me use more of this, this saw as well as my jigsaw. I got them in October, and then I had hernia surgery at the beginning of November, so I didn't get to use it. And then winter and rain and cold, and I didn't want to be outside. And so I'm just now, the sun shines out, and I'm going to start using these more. So those are my two spindles for this project. I'm going to use some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in linen white and paint everything you see here. Now these three wood rounds are from Crafts Direct, I think is what it's called. But I will link it down below. I love their wood pieces, their unfinished wood, because it's really affordable and they have really cute shapes. Gnomes, barns, just all sorts of stuff. So it's one of my favorite online stores. Right now I'm just trying to find the center so that I can put this, try to get it at least centered as possible. And I don't know, I guess it was off screen that I did it, but I'm using E6000 and hot glue, and I'm just going to glue these down together. Now what this is going to do is they're not going to go, it's not going to be a 3-tier. What I'm going to do is I'm going to off-center both of these onto the big circle. So it's going to be a different shape. So just keep watching. You'll see what I mean. But it's super simple. Just painted everything white, glued everything down. And couldn't be easier. Now you could distress this if you wanted. I just really wanted a clean and simple tier tray. So that's what I went with. But this would be super cute. Distressed, you could add beads around it, But again, I wanted this to be very clean and simple.
I'm out of reasons, I'm out of rhyme, but I'll only tell you that I'm out of time. I'm sick of love songs, I'm tired of this, and I wanna tell you straight just like it is. You're watching me like you want me, but you're still holding back, still holding back. Honestly, you're annoying me with the way that you keep playing. Show me your love.
So what I'm going to use is 2 of the white boards from Dollar Tree as well as the family sign from Dollar Tree. I thought I had a thankful, but I didn't, so I must have used that. And then I'm going to use 3 of these hooks that I got at Hobby Lobby. They retail for $4 and I got them for 2. I was going to use the over-the-wall hooks that Dollar Tree carries, but I went to 2 and they didn't have them. And then I remembered I had those hooks in my stash for a project that I decided not to do, so it ended up working out great. So as you can see, I just gave those a coat of the Rust-Oleum white chalk paint to cover up the words, and then with the family, I'm going to take my dry brush and I'm just going to lightly go across it. And it gives it the look that I saw in the picture, and I also like that it gives it that rustic vibe. And after putting a couple coats of that Rust-Oleum linen chalk paint on my 2 wood pieces here, I'm going to take Waverly chalk paint and hazelnut, and I'm just going to barely brush it across this because, again, I didn't want that stark white. I wanted it to look a little bit rustic. So just very, very lightly running this brush across. And then in a couple spots where I thought it might be a little dark, I just took my sandpaper and sanded it down just a little bit. And once that's complete, then it's just time to glue everything together. I'm using this wood glue from Gorilla. This is the first time I'm using the glue and I really liked it. It worked really well. It dries pretty fast. So I'm going to just glue it all down. And then for the hooks, I just used the E6000 to glue those down as well. For extra sturdiness, I took my staple gun and I stapled these 2 pieces of wood together. I wasn't sure if this was going to work. I thought maybe the wood would be too hard, but it worked really well. And I'm pretty weak and I was able just to staple these right in. So I was excited about that because I really, really wanted these projects to be sturdy. They were going on my wall. I wanted them to look high-end and not fall apart. And so I worked really hard on making sure that these were all very secure. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And if you're one of my amazing subscribers, I want to say thank you as well. Now, if you have made it here, I have something exciting. There is a giveaway going on as a thank you for hitting 30,000 subscribers, which blows my mind, as well as 35,000 followers over on Instagram. So this contest is open to both of you, and it is a bunch of Dollar Tree favorites, as many as I could fit into a large postal box is how many I am putting in there. So it is filled to the rim. There is a picture that you can see towards the end of this video of what all is going to be in there. And it's also going to have a mystery gift card. So stay tuned and make sure you listen to how to enter that contest. And speaking of Instagram, obviously, you can go over and find me over there. My screen name over there is $__mom, and I share my hauls. I share all of my projects I make. I share in my stories every day so you can get to know me on a more personal level, as well as if I find some fun deals, I also post those over there. So I hope you will come join me over on Instagram. And once I get everything glued down, I will flip it over and add a sawtooth hanger. This does have some weight to it, so you definitely want to make sure you have a sturdy thing on the back to hang it with. So I would love to know in the comments below what you thought of this dupe. I actually am glad I had these big chunky hooks because I really think it brought a little extra to it, more so than the one in the picture. For this project, I'm going to use 3 of these wood planks from Dollar Tree. And the sign that I picked up, and I think I got it at a 99-cent store, but you can use any Dollar Tree sign or anything you have. And then I'm going to paint these in 3 different shades. So I'm going to use the antique wax from Waverly, the hazelnut, and ivory. So I will get those painted.
Show me what it's like to be circling among the clouds. Because without you by my side, I would be stuck here on the ground. You're lighting up the way, I can see the road ahead of me. I won't be stumbling in the dark. Your eyes are shining like the stars. I was down until you saved me, until you set me free. My eyes were closed, now I see clear as day. And I just wanted to say that you can take me high. Feels like I can fly.
I got this printed sheet music from Hobby Lobby, just scrapbook paper, and I'm gonna go ahead and Mod Podge it down to this sign. But first, I'm just gonna take out this bead hanger. It comes out really easily. I just had to use my little needle nose pliers and unwind it, and then I put it back in at the end of the project.
You can take me high. I can see the sun staring at you when you make that smile. I'm moving closer to you now. I can't get close enough somehow. And I was down until you saved me, until you set me free. My eyes were closed, now I see clear as day. And I just wanted to say that you can take me high. Feels like I can fly.
Have you seen these at Michael's? It's just like a bunch of different ribbons. I absolutely died when I saw these. They have them in all sorts of different colors, and I just love that it's so many different textures and like colors. And so that they're $9.99, and you know, if you can use a coupon, they almost always have 20% off everything now. So I thought it was a really good deal. So anyhow, I just printed, I always say printed, cut out some vinyl on my Cricut, and it says "It is well with my soul," and I'm using my favorite font that's called Bailey, and it's from defont.com. And this is the part where I put the bead hanger back in. And then back to that ribbon. I just picked out 3 ribbons that I thought would work good on this project. And then I grabbed one of the wood laser cut crosses from Dollar Tree that I will also add to this project. And it's just a matter of gluing everything down, and the project will be complete.
Show me what it's like to be circling among the clouds. Without you by my side, I would be stuck here on the ground. You're lighting up the way, I can see the road ahead of me. I won't be stumbling in the dark. Your eyes are shining like the stars. I was down until you saved me, until you set me free. My eyes were closed, now I see clear as day. And I just wanted to say that you can take me high. Feels like I can fly. You can take me high. I can see the sun staring at you when you make that smile. I'm moving closer to you now. I can't get close enough somehow. And I was down until you saved me, until you set me free. My eyes were closed, now I see clear as day. And I just wanted to say that you can take me high. Feels like I can fly. I don't need anybody, I don't need anybody else. No one will ever take me, no one will ever take me away from you. I promise I will hold on to you. I don't know what I'd do without you. Without you. You can take me high. Feels like I can fly. You can take me high.
This is one of those projects that actually turned out how I imagined it. So I'm taking 4 of these signs, and again, I'm just popping out that back. These ones were way easier to pop out. And there's just 4 nails that are keeping it intact, like I'm talking tiny little nails. So out of the frame, I just kind of take those out. I'm not going to be using the backgrounds for this project. So you see I have 4 of those. Now look, if you just glued those together, that would make the cutest little like crate. Would be so cute. And then I'm going to take 2 of these window looking signs, and I'm going to pop off that middle there, and then just give it a little bit of a sanding because it is plastic, so this paint will stick to it. They're like, these are already white, why are you painting them? But they are shiny and plastic looking, and I want this to look very rustic. And so I'm taking some of that linen chalk paint once again and painting around those windows, front and back. And then I'm going to paint all of these frames. Again, every bit a part of it. You're going to see the whole thing, so you want to paint all of it. And it took me 2 coats of paint on all of these. Now, what is this, you ask? It is going to be a terrarium. I saw one online and I thought, ooh, I could make that. And so that is what this is. So now that everything is painted, I will go ahead and assemble it. So I'm going to take 2 of these rectangle frames, and those are going to be my sides. Then the 2 windows will be my other 2 sides. And I go ahead and I just kind of clip them together at first just to make sure that all of this is going to work. And then the other 2 frames will be my top. Now, since this is not going to have a latching top, I kept the bottom open so that I can just set it over the top of whatever decor I'm going to use with it. I'm going to use some E6000 and hot glue to put this together. So I want to make this look like it's been sitting outside and the paint has chipped off. And this is super easy because the paint actually, this is all kind of like plastic, and so the paint does actually kind of chip off, so it looks really good. I just love that chip look. Everything here I'm using besides the paint is from Dollar Tree. Those little clips are from Dollar Tree, the sanding block. But again, I'm just kind of sanding it and getting that paint chippy. And then that's it. That's it for this project. You can put anything you want inside of it, plants, succulents. I mean, you could put seasonal decor in here, a nest with eggs. I mean, so many different things, and I just love the rustic look. Everything you see here in these supplies is from Dollar Tree except for the shiplap looking printed paper, which is from Hobby Lobby. And so the sign here is a sign that I already took some stuff off of for another project. So it's just a Dollar Tree sign. You can use any sign. It just needs to be flat. So these wooden dowels are going to be our frame, and so I want to paint them black. And so one of the ways that you can do this without them rolling everywhere is just stick them into something, and I just use some fluorofoam, and with black chalk paint it dries really fast, so it doesn't take long to flip them over and do the other side. And I'm going to take my double stick tape runner here, and I'm going to put the printed paper down onto the sign. Okay, and now I'm going to see where I want to position this welcome little, what do you call it, wreath sign? And then I'm going to use the rub-ons from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to just rub them on that says to our home, so welcome to our home. These are my favorite rub-ons. I absolutely love them. I have packs and packs and packs of them so that I always have the right letters. Also, I am a little bummed because I don't like my spacing. I think there's too much space between our and home, but you know, sometimes it happens. I thought about putting a heart there, but then I was like, that's gonna look weird. So anyhow, I'm just putting some E6000 and a little bit of hot glue on this wire wreath here. And the reason I use E6000 is because metal and hot glue don't always go great together. Okay, so now I'm going to position my wooden dowels here to make sure that they fit my frame. And then to cut them down, I use my miter shears. They're amazing. I've used them for a couple projects that you'll see in this video, and it's pretty easy to cut. And I say that because I'm kind of wussy, so I figure if I can cut them, most people can cut them. So I am going to, as you see, or cut. See, watch how easy it is to cut. And pop. So, see, easy. And then I'm just going to take my little Sharpie here, and I'm just coloring the edge there. You don't even see it anyway when I glue it, but I did that just in case. And now I'll just take my detail glue gun, and I will glue all these down.
Without water along the sun-soaked road, we crossed over borders to get where we are, and it's all for you, it's all for you, it's all for you, it's all for you. I did it all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you.
Then I take 4 leaves off of this ferns floral stick from Floral Pick. I don't know why I said stick. Pick. From Dollar Tree. This was a really good one. Look at, I think it has 6. I don't know. It's a pretty good pick there. And then I'm just going to kind of do like a half circle down at the bottom, and I will glue those down as well. And if you're new here, welcome. Again, my name is Lisa Kennedy, and I am Dollar Mom. I like to bring affordable, budget-friendly decor to you, as well as some inspiration and much more. Make sure that you subscribe because I do have a big giveaway coming up very, very soon when I hit 30,000 subscribers. And then I'm going to take this buffalo check ribbon from Dollar Tree as well, and I will add just a little bow there at the top. I just felt like the top needed a little something. And then I realized that my leaves are kind of covering up a little bit there over the To Our Home. And so I just kind of trim those leaves up so that you can see. All right, then I went and pulled out these 3 little rose kind of tops, also from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to add those to the sign. I felt like there's something missing there as well, and I really like how these little flowers turned out. I used 2 big ones and 1 small one, and that's it. The sign's done. I think the dowels made a really good border.
Did it all for you. It's all for you. It's all for
For this Kirkland's dupe, it is super easy. I took a 12 by 12 canvas and I pulled the canvas part up. I thought I hit record and apparently I didn't, but you basically just rip the canvas off. There's not a whole lot to it. And then I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in black or ink or what color is that? Anyhow, it's a black color. And I'll paint the frame of this. And then I take, there is kind of like little holes on the inside of the frame. So I just took a really small brush and put it in there. All right, so I'm using the font Aldine from Cricut, and I just typed out the words, "Home is our happy place." Super simple, and just printed it, cut it out on black vinyl. Now, to make the back sturdy, I just cut out a piece of black foam board, and then I'm using this wood-looking paper that I got out of my scrapbook stash. It's not the one from Hobby Lobby, but they do have one that is very similar. And then I will go ahead and just put the vinyl down onto the paper. Now, I was a little bit worried about the transfer tape on paper. I wasn't sure if it would rip it, and it didn't at all. And I used just the Dollar Tree clear contact paper, and it worked perfectly. So I will just, I just kind of measure, make sure it's not going sideways or diagonal, or, you know, I want it to look balanced. So I go ahead and I put this down on the paper, and then I'm just going to double stick my little tape runner there and add it down to the foam board. Now, mine is a Tombow adhesive. I noticed that Dollar Tree carries them now, and they're even blue, just like that. I have not tried them yet. I did buy a couple. I was waiting for this one to run out of tape, and then I'll try the Dollar Tree ones. Again, I'm just going to hot glue that down, and that's it. It's the easiest project, and I think it looks just like the Kirkland ones, and for just a couple dollars. Again, thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to start by using 6 of these houses. I used 3 different shapes that they come in. And then I'm just going to pop out the back of the house. Now, of course, all of them popped out super easy. And then I go to film this one, and it's being a little more stubborn. But really, I just slip my little Cricut spatula under it and then just pull it around. And it was actually really easy to get undone. And so what we're going to make here with these is a shelf. Now this shelf evolves throughout the video because I had a vision, but it was like, didn't quite have everything I needed, so it really does evolve. But as here you can see, you can just pop that right out. And we'll use those for the next project, the backings. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue the two houses that are alike on top of each other. We want these to be thick so that you can sit something into them. You could even make it 3 high if you want to. And these houses are still in the store, so hopefully you can still find them. I love them. I ordered a whole case because there's just so many different things you can do with them. So I used some wood glue and some hot glue. Now I'm going to grab some chicken wire. My brother-in-law actually had this left over from a project, so it was totally free to me. And then I'm going to take my staple gun here, and it's just something that I picked up at Ace Hardware for like, I don't know, around $10. And I'm just going to staple it right into these houses. As you can see too, I have all 3 houses side by side, and I did glue those together as well. And this was really easy, just to staple this right on the back. Keep in mind, I am not a very strong person, and so if I can do it, you should be able to do it too. Once I get that all stapled in, around the top, I'm going to cut the excess off. And just using these little wire cutters, it just snaps off really easily. And then you'll see that there's chicken wire hanging down below the shelf. And I'm going to just trim that up, and that will become the bottom part of our shelf. And if you have any pokies or anything, you can just take your little pliers and kind of bend them back. I was a little worried about it being pokey, but it wasn't at all. Okay, so now I just want to make sure that when I cut it at the bottom, it's going to be a straight line. So I just kind of measure, and I think I measured 8 inches down just to cut it nice and even. And again, I'm trying to cut it as even as possible. Now I probably could have painted first, but like I said, this project evolved and I didn't really decide to paint it until after I put the chicken wire on. So I'm taking my Rust-Oleum chalk paint and linen and a chippy brush that I got from Walmart, and I'm just going to go around and kind of distress, and I want this to look really rustic, like it had been outside and that the paint was chipping off, and I wanted to give it that look. So just go ahead and I paint around all of the houses. Now I'm going to take this ribbon that I picked up from Michael's, and I'm going to go ahead and trim it around so that I don't have any pokies and just kind of finish it off. So I'm just doing a halfway point, and I will glue from the little buffalo check to the little buffalo check on each side, and just use some hot glue. This was fast and easy. I was pleasantly surprised at how easy it was. So I'm going to do that on all 3 sides. You can see there that I have the ribbon farther on the bottom because what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that bottom around to give it a nice clean corner. And that is it for this project. You can hang it on the wall. Now originally I was going to put another piece of wood down below to have it like a 2-layer shelf, but that wasn't quite working out for me with the supplies that I had. But I just think this is so cute on the wall, and you can hang items from the chicken wire. You could do a little mini banner. I feel like if you wanted to have it in your bedroom, you could hang earrings from it. There's all sorts of things that you could do. Using the houses that I had popped out from the last project, I'm going to make a sign here that says family. So I went ahead and I cut out some pieces of scrapbook paper, and it's a paper pad from Michael's, and I will link it below. Hopefully they still have it, but you can use any kinds of paper that work in the color scheme of your house. So this paper, it's kind of hard to see here on camera, but it's grays and tans, and then there's some gold foiling as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll Mod Podge these down onto the houses. And then I take my Cricut and I take a piece of paper that's also from that kit, and this is a brown paper with some gold foiling on it. And I go ahead and I cut out the letters for family. I think a lot of times we forget that you can actually cut paper out as well. I know most people do vinyl, but for this project I really loved this paper, and it's nice and thick, and I am flipping this over so that when I peel the letters off, they're nice and flat and they don't curl up. So that's a little trick that I learned, I think, from one of you. And then I'm just going to take my double sticky tape runner that is a must if you're doing any kind of paper crafting, and I'll go ahead and adhere those down onto the houses. As you can see, this is a super quick project, and we just were able to use what was left over from the last project. Once I get those stuck all down, I'm going to take some of the tumbling tower blocks, and I'm going to, oh, whoops, wait, before I do that, I'm going to take my brown ink pad and just run it around the edges of each one of the houses. And this just gives it a little nice border and makes it pop a little better. Okay, so now I'm going to take the tumbling tower blocks and I'm going to hot glue them onto the back. Now make sure that it's just slightly above the bottom. If you do it right to the bottom, it will fall over. So just having it a hair up is just enough to tilt it back so that it stands on its own. And so I just do this for each of the houses, and then you can just lay them however you want out, and it makes a super cute sign, especially if you have like a mantle or something. I am loving how this turned out, and it was so easy to make. For this first project, I'm going to take two of these Dollar Tree signs. I'm going to deconstruct one of them and add it to the other. So I will just take this apart. And now I'm just going to lay out my pieces to get an idea of what this will look like. It would be nice if these were long enough, but they're not, but it's okay because we're going to put something over the middle anyway, so I can just cut them in half. Now I'm going to measure the halfway point so I know where to make my, I guess it's going to kind of look like a little arrow. What would have been really nice is having the little miter cut shears, and I literally got online after I made this project and ordered them because it was really hard to get the right angles doing it this way. But really you just kind of play around until you get the angle you need. It should be 90 degrees, but again, I probably did this the hard way. I probably should use like a, is it a protractor? Is that what they're called? Anyhow, I definitely recommend those little miter shears. They'll probably come in handy for lots and lots of projects. And so I will link those down below. So anyhow, I'm just going to play around and get that shape, and I'm going to cut 4 of these. And now I am going to take the frame that I took off, and I'm going to glue that back down. And I'm gluing it on the back just because it's a nice smooth surface, and then I'll finish the other side that we removed it from. And then I also glue on these pieces here to make it look like a barn door. Okay, so now I'm going to use this arrow from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make it look like a house. So I'm going to paint both of these white with my linen colored Rust-Oleum chalk paint. And you'll see here I'm going to give it a one coat, and then after that dries, I go ahead and make another coat, so for 2 coats. I said that I was covering that arrow in paint too, but I wasn't. That's right, I forget. So I'm actually going to cover it in this cute fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. They have had some really cute fabrics. And so what you want to do, because this one has, you know, animals and whatnot going in different directions, is just find what looks best on your arrow, which is now our house. And so once I figured out where I wanted that pattern, I went ahead and cut out the fabric. And then I am just going to wrap it around this and glue it to our now house. Now I'm just going to take my sanding sponge and run it across this whole thing and just kind of give it a more rustic style. You could also take a little bit of brown or gray paint and add that as well. This is a really subtle look that I've done here. Just wanted to distress it a little bit. This little vacuum that you can get off Amazon is like the best deal. I'm just vacuuming up the powder and I can vacuum it up my table, and it's just so great. I will link it below. So this is just a ribbon that I cut on a Christmas package, and I was like, I'm definitely keeping that. It's already tied and everything. And then this other little sign from Dollar Tree, I actually bought it just for this little metal piece. I just really liked it, and I also knew I could make over the little sign itself, which I will do in this video. It's the last project. So I'm just going to take this ribbon and I'm just going to glue it down to my little house. And now with that done, I'm just going to glue everything down and this project is complete. This DIY could not be simpler, but this calendar is so amazing that I purchased off this artist's website on her Etsy. The calendar is sold out, but she is still selling the prints, so you can buy them just as sheets instead of calendar. This is the same designer that made the famous Dollar Tree calendar, so it's really good. This one's a lot higher quality. So I'm going to make this sign double-sided. So I'm going to make a farmhouse sign and then I'm going to flip it over and make an Easter sign. I really like to do this to save space. I make so much decor and it's taking up so much space. So I'm trying to flip over things and make signs that way to reduce space. So all I'm doing is taking this calendar sheet and decoupaging it right onto this piece of wood. And this wood sign is from Target Dollar Spot. It was $3 and magically was the exact right size. Just like that clock sticker. I don't know, it was just all meant to be. So I'm just going to Mod Podge it right on. And then I don't take too much time cutting it out perfectly because I will sand around the edges, which makes it perfect and also gives it that rustic look. I would just love to know what you thought of today's music during this video. It is the one thing I get the most, not the most comments about, but you guys either love it or hate it. And so I really want to find something that is enjoyable for everyone. And so let me know in the comments down below what kind of music you like to hear during these DIY videos. Maybe you don't like to hear anything. Maybe you just want me to talk and make jokes the whole time. I mean, I can do that too. So again, let me know in the comments down below what kind of music you enjoy. My sister sent me this sign and I was like, that is perfect, because I often feel weird saying farmhouse when I just have like a regular house in the suburbs. And so I loved that it said farmhouse-ish. So I wanted to make one of those signs for myself. So I'm using this Beware sign from Halloween. They have these signs year round, typically something of this length. And I'm just going to take some of the Dollar Tree wrapping paper, and this is going to finish off the back. I really want this to have a finished back, even though it'll be on the wall. It'll cover that glitter part. And this is a new technique I learned. I shouldn't say technique I learned. It's a technique I accidentally came across doing this. I made the paper bigger than the sign. And then what it does is when you're painting, it also serves as a way to not get paint on your surface, on your desk or wherever you're working. So it was like this win-win situation. So I'm just going to cover this sign with the Rust-Oleum chalk paint and linen. But first, I'm just going to use a little bit of this wood filler to fill these holes here. I don't want to have holes in my sign.
The longer I've waited, the more that I've tried. All the years that I've wasted trying to find it. All that I go through for my peace of mind.
And once I am done painting, I will go ahead and cut this excess paper off.
Let it all go out the window. No smoke in my eyes. I can hear the wind chiming.
I then cut out the vinyl on my Cricut. The farmhouse is in the font Bailey that I got off defont.com, and I will link that below. And I forgot the font I used for ish, but it's just a basic font that will come on your Cricut. And I'm just going to lay that down onto my sign.
Early blue morning, when everything's cold, I see you running, all covered in gold. There's nothing else that eases my soul. I let it all go.
You can definitely use the windmill from Dollar Tree. I just happened to have this other that I got at Hobby Lobby. It was actually a Christmas ornament that I got on sale, and I believe it was $2 on sale. So a little more expensive than Dollar Tree, but I like how it was already had that rustic look. I'm just going to use some E6000 to put that down. I know that typically with metal, hot glue doesn't stick as well, so you're definitely going to want to use a different kind of adhesive if you want it to not pop off. And that's it here. I'm just going to use my sanding block to rustic it up a little bit, and that is it. The sign is complete, and it just was so easy and so cute. So I decided to make over that little sign that I took the home piece off of in the very first project. And so I'm just taking some of this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. It's one of my favorites. It looks like shiplap. Actually, it doesn't look like shiplap, really. I guess it looks more like barnwood. I'm not sure. You decide. And I'm just going to cut the square out to add to the back. Now, as you saw from the beginning, I had some things printed out on a piece of paper. I actually purchased a little printable kit on Etsy that had some really cute farmhouse pieces. And so like I said, I purchased that and then I printed them out and cut them down to size to add to this project. And so I'll go ahead and Mod Podge that scrapbook paper on, and then you'll see again off to the side there I have that same black tag I used in the last project, as well as that printable that I will add onto the tag. And then I'm just going to embellish it a little and add it to the sign, and it's just a quick and easy little decor piece you can add in or even put on a tier tray. I wanted to give the edges a little distressing, and they still had some paper actually hanging over the edge. So this trick works really good too if you still have some paper. It just sands it right off. And I still didn't think it was distressed enough, so I got out one of my ink pads, and with a sponge I just distressed around the edges. And in here I'm just going to add my little bow, and now the project is complete. For this next project, I am using this tag sign from Dollar Tree. They pretty much have them every season. This sign also from Dollar Tree, as well as some sandpaper, and then this is some wrapping paper also from Dollar Tree. I use it to finish the backs of my projects. So I'm just going to sand off some of this glitter, and this is where you're going to see that cute little ladybug vacuum again. I saw it with Jazz DIY Home, I think is her name, and Creative on the Cheap, and I had to get one, and it's amazing. So again, I will link it below, and it just picks up all that glitter and debris. So I'm just going to put some Mod Podge on this tag with the wrapping paper, and this will be the back of our sign. I just again wanted to finish it off. Now I'm just going to prep this little sign here. I'm going to pop off the frame, and I'm just going to make marks where the frame was, and I'm going to paint white in that area. This is a totally cute sign on its own, and I actually have one that I kept untouched that I have in my kitchen. I think I just added a little burlap bow to it. So it's definitely a cute sign, but I loved the buffalo check, and so I bought two because I knew I'd want to make one over. So I will put 2 coats of white chalk paint on here, and I will do that as well on the tag. And again, this is the Rust-Oleum linen chalk paint. And now that my paint is dry, I'm going to set aside the tag, and I'm going to put the frame back onto this cute sign. You're going to see me play around with some elements on here. I just grabbed out some neutral embellishments to see what would go with this. While it is a black and white, I wanted to add in some of the natural as well and some burlap. And so I will just kind of play around until I find what I like. And then I'm going to use these rub-ons from Dollar Tree. This font is my favorite, and so I have several packs, so I have plenty of letters, and I will end up spelling out every moment that will go along with my little Cherish. That's also from Dollar Tree. This is exciting that they've been putting out really great items. If you haven't seen them yet, hold on tight, because they have announced on their website that they're expanding craft sections in all of their stores. So I really hope that you'll be able to find more of these embellishment items. I just distressed those a little bit because one of them kind of didn't come up very well, put down very well, so I just kind of distressed them a little. And so now I'm going to take one of these black chalkboard tags from Dollar Tree. I didn't like how this brown one looked. It just blended too much. So I'm going to take this black tag, and I'm going to add the Cherish to it, and I will glue both of those down. really love to layer, and this is a pretty chunky sign, so I'm going to put it onto the tag. It's definitely going to need a heavier adhesive because it's thin and how the sign is going to attach. So I go back and forth between hot glue and E6000. The hot glue is for immediate adhesive and the E6000 is for long-term adhesive. So I'm just going to get that down and secure. So I'm going to take this ribbon here. It's from Michaels. I buy it at Christmas. I buy 2 rolls because it's so good, and then I use it all year on my farmhouse projects. I also wanted to add a little more texture, so this is some wire. I guess it would be ribbon. I mean, it's in the ribbon section at Hobby Lobby, but I just wanted to give it that little bit of extra farmhouse texture, and so I just cut a strip to put in between my ribbon here. And then I'm just gonna add that little cross piece also from Dollar Tree down in the corner. And unfortunately, I thought my camera was recording and it wasn't, but I added these little beads at the top to make it so it can hang, or if you set it against something, the little beads looked really cute. This is a sign here that I saw on a Kohl's ad, and I wanted to recreate it for myself, but I put my own spin on it. So I grabbed this 8x10 frame from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off. And I'm going to use some of these new stickers they have that I'm loving. Again, I used my Cricut, and I came up with this saying, "Our door is always open." For the our is always, I use the font Gabriola, and for the door and open, I use the font Cream Candy. Again, I will link those below as well. And I'm just gonna put it right here on the glass, and I just thought it like made the cutest. It's like a window door is what I was seeing that in the inspiration. And I just liked this darker wood, but you could totally paint it white or any color if you like that too. I just think this frame is so high end for Dollar Tree. I was really pleased to find these, and they come in the 4x6 as well. And I don't want these little black pieces showing, so I go ahead and I remove them, and then I'm just going to use some hot glue to adhere the window, the glass down to the frame. I'm going to use some of the stickers out of each of these packs. When I saw this one with the hinges, I knew exactly what project I was going to use it on, because this inspiration has actually been on my to-do list for quite a while. So these stickers are just absolutely perfect. And then I'm going to use the little keyhole here, and then the strap from the one that looks kind of like a suitcase. And I realize it does look more like a suitcase handle, but I liked just how it was set up. I just thought it looked really neat. And that's it for this project, super fast and something a little different. Have you guys been finding these new items in your Dollar Tree yet? Dollar Tree does have it posted that all of their stores will have expanded crafter squares. So if you aren't seeing them yet, hang tight, they're coming. This project is so easy. I feel like I can hardly call it a DIY. But I picked up this tobacco basket from Target Dollar Spot for $3, and then this shelf is from Dollar Tree, so for $1. So this project cost me $4. And I just found that it fit perfectly in the bottom of this basket. And I'm just going to use some E6000 and some hot glue for instant adherence. And this is actually a really sturdy shelf, and it just makes the cutest thing to decorate and add to your decor. The hardest part of this is holding it in one hand and gluing it in the other. So if you have some help, another set of hands is not the worst thing. But I'm just trying to find the contact points between the shelf and the basket. And so the one nice thing about working with E6000 is you have room to wiggle around because it isn't an immediate adhesive. And then once I get that kind of down, I'm just kind of searching around again. You'll see me just kind of looking and finding another point of contact. And the one nice thing about the hot glue is I can kind of, as you see here, just kind of shove it up in there and do a lot. And it just gives it that really good adherence. And that is it, you guys. That is all for that project. But look how cute it is on the wall and decorated. It just, I love how it turned out. For this Kirkland's dupe, this was going to be my challenge because I got a miter saw and I've only used it just a little bit. And so I thought it would be so fun to try my skills out. And so all of this is going to be using 12-gallon size painter sticks. Now I was going to go to Walmart or Home Depot to pick some up because they come 3 in a pack for around $1. But I live closer to Ace, and so I went into Ace hoping they sell them. They do not sell them, but they were happy to give me 12 of them. So this project didn't cost me anything. So anyhow, as you see here, I'm using that Gorilla wood glue again, and I am just gluing some of the sticks together. Now, for the centerpiece, I made this, and I had to cut 45-degree angles. And so this was going to be like the challenge. Did I do it? Did I do it right? And I did, so that's exciting. Now, I know you're curious, what are the dimensions? So I will put them down in the comments below. This is about 13.5 inches once completed. So I believe this little area here is 9 inches. But again, I'm going to put the exact ones down below. Now, because the stir sticks are only so long, they weren't long enough to do the diagonal. So what I did to take care of that is I cut them in half. So I made my angles and then I cut them in half. So this is the trickiest part for me, making the two 45-degree angles to go in the corners. That's what I'm not super great at, but I did it. I persevered and I did it. And so again, I'm just gluing that with the Gorilla Glue. And as you'll see there in the center, they don't come together. So if you had longer stir sticks or your outside base was not as big as mine, then you wouldn't have that issue. But that's okay because I'm going to use one of the square wood pieces, wood planks from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cover up that middle. So for this bottom base, I'm going to use Waverly's Antique Wax to color this area. Now, one thing about this project is there was another layer on the top, but the cuts looked too difficult for me. I was afraid I would get too frustrated. And so I thought, I've got wins here. I'm going to just leave the ones I've cut. And so instead of that top layer, I found this little wood sunshine in my stash that I had picked up from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to flip it over and I'm going to use that on the center. All right, so unfortunately though, when you get these free ones from Ace, they are embossed, and so you do need to smooth it out. So I took some of my wood filler and I just push it down into where it's been embossed. See there, and I'm trying to do it one-handed with the camera in my hand. But once I get all that down and it dries a little bit, I just sand it smooth. Now, I should have done that before I started painting, but I didn't think about it until after. So woodworking is very, very new to me, and so I'm learning as I go. So again, I did it on the cracks there just to make sure I had a very nice, smooth, and like I said, a high-end looking piece. Alright, so that last square I painted white with my Rust-Oleum linen chalk paint, and then the square that I add to the middle, I used the hazelnut Waverly chalk paint as well. And then, like I said, I had that little sun that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and I like the neutral color, so I'm not going to paint it. I'm just going to keep it as is. And so, like I said, I changed up that top layer a bit because I thought it might just be a little bit too complicated for me. But if you make this project and you make that top layer, I would absolutely love to see how it turned out. Again, this is a good reason to come find me over on Instagram because you can send those to me or ask me any questions over there where I can send you images as well. And so that's it for this project. I am super proud of myself for using a big power tool, and now I'm not as intimidated to use it next time. So let me know what you think of this dupe. All right.